many young Muslims have taken the liberal secular argument to gender relations, and they applied it to their life. And they say, or no matter what he does, or no matter what she does, I expect the best out of the other person, no matter what situation we're in, whether we're high, whether I'm a house party, and I have no responsibility. Okay. And how could you blame the woman? How could you blame the guy? Does anybody say, how could you blame the guy? No. Believe all women, believe all men. I'm screaming too much.
But that's not even the issue, though. The issue is we're trying to help people.
Okay, but the liberal argument says this, okay? Yeah. They facilitate everything to happen. The party, the drugs, the get-togethers.
Okay. I see.
But the only crime is, not everything that made the crime happen impossible.
What happened?
But the crime itself only.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but the partying, the drinking, the get-togethers, the being all alone, the intimacy, the lit up, the dancing, the drugs, the music, none of that is impermissible.
I think what you're saying is very important.
Yeah.
And what I would ask and request for our viewers is to actually really think about what we're saying. Yeah. Right. Because some people at this point in the conversation will label us. Yeah. Like rape apologists, and you guys are this and that.
Oh my goodness.
Wallahi billahi, we want the best for our sisters. Yeah. We want the best for our brothers, right?
Of course, yeah.
But we cannot deny when alcohol is introduced in any society, that problems are going to happen in the family.
Of course.
This wife beating, right? Abuse, domestic assault, all these rape, all these things become prevalent, right?
Of course.
This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions those things. Yeah. He says,
stay away from it.
Stay away from it. Fajtanibuhu.
Yeah.
Right? If you wish to be successful, there's a reason for that. Allah, you see, the beautiful thing about the Quran is it actually has a meaning.
Yeah.
Right? It actually has laws. It actually has a manual to live your life. Yeah. And if you follow this way from the Creator, you'll be successful. Yeah. Right? But
the liberals and all these people, they vouch for this lifestyle that they say I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But don't.
It's your job to control yourself.
It's your job, right? Yeah. That, to me, that's scary. To put your safety in the hands of somebody
another
else.
person.
That's very scary.
You're relying on someone else
to do the right thing. That's scary.
Yeah.
Right? I hope you don't kill me. I'm going to give you this gun. I'm going to load it. I hope that you're a good person and that you don't kill me.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
I mean, such a naive mindset. I don't understand.
That's very
so
sad.
backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. To put your life and your honor and your dignity in the hands of somebody else.
Yeah.
And expect them to be good people.
Yeah.
Only if the world worked like this. Only if everybody was good. Then we would have problems.
Yeah.
Since, I remember as a kid, I lived in a neighborhood where red was not liked. The color red was not liked.
Okay.
That's why you're wearing blue today, man. I got him.
Yeah.
I got him.
The color red.
Oh, that was nice.
You can't wear the color red. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
So, I'm a little kid. I knew this. You know, they told me, don't ever wear this color. I never wore the color red.
Of course not.
Right? Because it represented something. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to be a part of that.
Fear of harm. Harm will come from that.
I'm not going to say, I'm going to wear red. I'm going to go to the territory where you guys are. And I demand that you guys respect my red shirt. No,
it doesn't work like
right?
That. Yeah.
We wish it did, but it doesn't work like that. You get bullets in your chest.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How is everybody doing today? Today's one of those type of amazing days when there's a podcast going on. It always feels good when there's another episode being filmed. Especially today's topic is a little bit intense. Are you ready for it, Uthman?
Wallahi, I think we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the strength to carry on in this da'wah.
For sure. How are all the Deen lovers doing? Tell us how you guys are doing in the comments below, inshallah, and give us your feedback. Today we got an explosive topic, really much needed, a little bit late, but it's a topic that's always there. It will forever be there.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about gender relations, sexual assaults, boundaries, and best practices in the topic. How can brothers and sisters, men and women, have the best type of relationship between them? A really hot topic. There's been a few things that have been happening in the last month where people have been coming out on social media and they are sharing their experiences on what they have been through in this topic and on I need some water, yeah. From the get-go, I need some water. They came online and they were sharing everything that kind of some bad moments that happened where things didn't go right between two genders, a brother and a sister, or sometimes family members. when people did not really look at the heaviness and the importance of this topic. So it's a giant topic. Sometimes I know how to start a topic, but today it's a little bit tough. Idrees, what are your thoughts on gender relations? And there are some really grounded things that Allah SWT has told us. And those I think the Muslims know, but sometimes they don't practice. What are your thoughts on this, Idrees?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa salamu ala nabihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Like you said, wallah, this is a very sensitive topic.
For sure.
It's a topic that, you know, you can, with the slip of the tongue, you can say something wrong.
Yeah.
But us three, especially, I think our intentions are good for sure.
For sure.
Right? So we're trying to help people understand the topic, trying to help brothers understand, sisters understand how to work around this problem.
Yeah.
So that, especially to protect sisters, to teach brothers what to do, what not to do. Again, to protect our sisters. So this is coming from a good place.
Of course.
Right. And it's a discussion that has to be had.
For sure.
Right. One of the problems in our community is we shy away from things that is a taboo.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is a giant taboo.
Giant taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it.
No.
Until it happens, and then everybody talks crazy because you're not prepared. Right. So I think it's good to prepare for problems. It's good to always have a solution just in case this happens, right? Like we mentioned last week in the topic we were talking about bullying. It's good to have that conversation with your kids.
Yes.
The same with this topic.
Yeah.
It's a taboo. Parents don't really want to have that convo, but one day it's either going to happen to your kid.
Yeah.
You know, they're either going to be the victim, or they're going to be the assaulter, or they're going to know somebody that is.
Oh yeah.
So they have to know how to handle it. They know they have to know what to do. They have to have steps. So it's a very sensitive topic, and inshallah we'll try to break it down, try to give some good information to both genders, right, the brothers and sisters, and inshallah leave here with some good tips. For sure.
Uthman, how do you think the status between the relationship between men and women are? You know what, before we even go off beyond the community, what about within the community? Do you think the lines are clear, the boundaries, are they clear?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In alhamdulillah, lahu alhamdu al-hasana wa thana'u jameel, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lah, yaqulu al-haqqa wa huwa yahdi sabil, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. I think that the boundaries in the community are not clear. I think that the condition, we all know generally what the boundaries should be, hypothetically speaking, right? As a concept. But when it comes to practicality, we all come from different cultures, ethnicities.
It's not there.
In a community where it's, mostly non-Muslim.
Yeah.
So, we have to deal with the wider community here, and we have to learn how to navigate through that, right? Yeah. Because we don't have a Muslim culture here.
Yeah.
What we have is we have a Muslim culture within a wider non-Muslim society.
Yeah.
So we kind of introduce some of our jahiliyyah practices from our culture within this society, right? To kind of like fit in and assimilate sometimes.
Okay.
And
does that mean we abandon the Deen practices in between?
Yeah, so we abandon some of those practices, right?
Okay.
Sometimes we even justify it. We rationalize abandoning it. Because if we do that, then, non-Muslims won't look at us in a weird way, and we can get along. We can fit in to get in to fit in, whatever.
Yeah.
So, definitely, I think it's pretty clear. But when the explanation comes, everybody has its own, plate.
Yeah, for sure. We live in a much larger non-Muslim society, and we won't be talking much about them because it's a big topic.
Absolutely.
It'll be too far-fetched. But their standard between gender relations is that you can do anything, you can be together, you can be alone, and the only condition between a gender relation from going right to wrong is consent. The only condition from a moment going upside down is consent, meaning two people can be alone together. They can do anything. They can work together. They can have any type of relationship. They can have sexual relations. They can have intimacy, all A to Z. But the only condition is consent. And some Muslims are almost it looks like they're adopting this type of mindset, and many boundaries that even culturally used to be good and Deenian that must be there have been abandoned. What are your thoughts on this, Idrees?
Yeah, like you mentioned, this is tough because you have to separate,
you got to separate them.
Different communities, different people, different religions. We're talking about in an Islamic community, with Muslims, we don't use our rationale when it comes to, creating laws and going about our life.
Yeah.
Right. We go by what Allah said, and what the Prophet ﷺ said, and according to his life, right? And then in deeper issues, we go according to the Salaf, right? But the basic fundamentals is whatever Allah said.
Of course.
Right? A non-Muslim doesn't see it this way.
No.
So we can't have that conversation.
No way.
Right?
Absolutely.
A non-Muslim is using their logic.
Absolutely.
Is using their laws.
Their paradigm.
So a Muslim and a non-Muslim cannot even have this conversation.
No way.
We can't be on the same table.
No.
Right? But if we're Muslims, and you agree that you're a Muslim and that you believe in Allah, the first thing we have to agree on is where are you getting your sources from?
Yes.
I'm going to bring something to you.
Yeah.
It's from the Quran and the Sunnah.
Yeah.
Where are you getting your source from?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's not from the same sources, we're not having a discussion.
No, of course not.
Yeah. We don't operate on the same thing.
No.
Right? So if we agree now that it's the Quran and the Sunnah that we're operating on, then we have to follow what the Quran says about the gender boundaries.
Of course.
What is the gender relationship? Does Allah allow boyfriend, girlfriend? Does Allah allow this? Does Allah allow, as I think it's the Shia community that believe in this practice where you marry mut'a, where you marry for a week.
Yeah.
Or
and
just
you have
limited time.
Yeah, limited time, right? And then you divorce, right? Yeah, a form of prostitution, really.
Well, yeah.
So if we're going to have this conversation, it has to be with people that are not using their emotion and their logic.
Yeah.
But we're going to the fundamentals of the religion.
Yeah.
What did Allah say about this?
Yeah.
What did the Prophet ﷺ say about this? And the beautiful part is, it's very simple.
It's very, very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up to you if you want to take it or not.
Yeah.
But what Allah said and what the Prophet said, it is clear cut.
It's known.
Right?
Yeah.
So whether you want to take it or not, whether you've been diluted, washed down by other communities, other cultures, other religions, that's your problem.
Yeah.
But we're saying what Islam says about these issues is clear cut.
Yeah.
What you can and can't do, clear cut.
Between genders.
Between genders. It's black and white.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, to me personally, as a Muslim that understands the Quran, that it's clear cut.
Yeah.
I know what my boundaries are. I know what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
Right? And if I cross those boundaries, I should expect the worst.
Of course.
Yeah. I should, if I cross those boundaries, and let's say I don't even do anything criminal, I should expect to be, to have a claim against me.
Of course.
He did this.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Without a doubt.
Because I crossed the boundary.
Yes.
I crossed my limit. I crossed it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, like I said, if we're using the same sources, if we're using the same, way of life, then we're gonna be on the same boat.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or disagree, that's up to you.
That's a different case. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Uthman, Idrees mentioned a point that, it's pretty clear. Things are pretty clear, but a lot of Muslims are very struggling with it. What do you think is causing this level of struggle, especially with young Muslims? What's wrong with, we're just hanging out? What's wrong with just being together? What's wrong with going to a house party? What's wrong with just going on a date between a brother and a sister?
Bismillah. I think what Idrees mentioned is a good point.
Yeah.
Because before we get into this issue, this topic here, what's important is to lay down our moral compass and our epistemology as Muslims. How do we determine
epistemology?
I would say so. The knowledge of knowledge. And when we lay down that foundation, we have a moral compass that's objective from the Creator. Okay, so that means that He's already laid down laws of how we should be living our lives. Now, first we need to agree that we're accepting those the way to live our lives. If we don't accept that, then we can't really have a conversation. It won't be fruitful. Right? We'll be all over the place. But as Muslims, we should agree that that's our foundation's code. That's the first thing. The second thing.
Why do you think they're struggling with it? A lot of young Muslims.
The reason why they're struggling with it, I think, is that they associate ignorantly the ill cultural practices with the religion. because they may look at some things that is cultural and say, well, all of the Somalis do this. That means that it must be from Islam. So which I have to push that away. I have to reject that. We can't use that standard. And they may look at this culture, the societal standard that we're living in, this non-Muslim, and they would say that this seems to be going better for us. They're talking about things like consent, and they're talking about, and I like those. Those seem like, you know,
I understand it.
It's peaceful, and you know, it's like, you know, something that I think that would facilitate for us a better way to live, right? And this all stems from ignorance, right? Their rejection of the Islamic morals is because they don't know what it is. They don't know what our moral compass is. They don't know what, you know what we believe, and that's why they are quick to reject it. But had they known, they would see that, and its reason, the maqasid of the Sharia, they would understand that this is all really to protect us. And Allah mentions a lot of those things in the Quran.
For sure.
Right. And the Prophet ﷺ mentions that. But out of sheer ignorance, we just reject it.
There's an interesting point though. If you look at a country, let's just pick Saudi Arabia for instance, right? Saudi Arabia, if you socially, the people there don't have, you know, like the way the women dress, it's a law. Women can't dress a certain way. They have to follow the law. Right. So a lot of sisters in Saudi Arabia, they grow up
in that environment,
wearing a niqab, practicing. Why? Because it's the culture.
It's enforced,
it's almost forced. Right. It's not forced, but you get what I'm saying. It's like that's just who you are. Your mom is like this, your grandma's like this. In this society we live in, it's forced on Muslims to accept other than their religion. You get what I'm saying? When the kid knows, it starts speaking, he's watching TV shows. The cartoon has a boyfriend and a girlfriend.
Of course.
Right? A cartoon, not even a human being. The cartoon has a boyfriend and girlfriend.
Absolutely.
So now the kid is trained to, this is normal.
This is okay.
So when he grows up and you tell him it's haram, he's going to look at you like crazy.
What's wrong with you, man?
What are you talking about? So it's literally, they're trained all the way until they're older, and they just fall into it. Without even thinking about it. Having a boyfriend, having a girlfriend, zina, all these things. I remember one time, there was a brother, this has nothing to do with the point, but it was just it was interesting. We were talking about like car insurance. A brother didn't even know that car insurance and it's haram, and it's in its fundamental it's haram, right? And then it's forced on us, so that's why we take out. You know, he was arguing house car insurance. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of some people might not even regard zina as haram.
Unfortunately.
Because like you said, the ignorance, but also because the environment we live in forces us to accept it as the way of life. It's our moral compass now. You know, to accept zina as normal, alcohol is normal. You know, you tell a guy I don't smoke, what's wrong with this guy? This guy's lame, or this guy's this. I don't have a girlfriend. I've never had a girlfriend. I'm a virgin is something that's like attributed to the nerds and the geeks in movies. Right? To the lames. Not the smart guy, not the guy that's popular.
No.
Right? So what they want popular is zina and all these things. So it's almost forced on these.
And within the community there is it doesn't help the level of hypocrisy within families, within the community. You'll see a family who they want the best way for their kids, but then they'll break all these gender relations. But then they expect the young Muslim for later on to be understanding of these things. But mom will take the girl to a wedding, she's half naked. But then the next day she expects her to wear a hijab. And then when kids grow up in this type of environment, where there's so much hypocrisy, this way, that way, this way, that way. And then, you know, you advise your family, like, Mom, what are you doing? Or she'll take the brother to a place where he shouldn't be in here. He's just a young kid, forget him. But why you throw him in all these women? You know what I mean? He's a man, he needs to be, you know what I mean, in a different type of environment.
Exactly.
Or they're just cousins, leave them alone.
Common, very, very common.
What do you thought of that?
It's almost normal. Like this is what I'm talking about. So youth and young Muslims, even older Muslims who leave the Deen, is because of ignorance like this.
They're confused.
The parents, sometimes what they do is, mom and dad, they will attribute these things to the religion. So they'll say, like, for example, oh, why are you listening to this rap music? It's haram why? But they listen to Somali music. Right? It happens in like almost all, you have this phenomenon in every Muslim ethnicity, right? Or they'll have like the whole thing about interaction. So you can hug this person, and that person is your cousin, it's your uncle. It's okay, you can do it. And it's like, that's okay. As a matter of fact, you should do that. If you don't do that, that's bad adab.
Yeah.
You better hug your cousin.
Yeah.
That's a female.
It's a bad adab, yeah.
Right. It's bad adab for you. It's bad etiquette for you not to hug her, right? But with, Samantha and Barbara, it's like, how could you do that, man? Like, we're in the family. Like, how could you? And it's like,
what's going on here?
And I, and to a certain degree, you can't really blame these young kids for seeing things that way, because they're like, okay, sometimes it's explicitly attributed to the religion, sometimes it's implied.
Yeah.
So they're like, you know what? If this is what Islam is, I don't want to be that. And what they're rejecting, they think it's Islam, but it's a distorted image that they have in their head, right, of Islam.
Yeah.
But if it was actually practiced, faithfully in the household, then
things will be clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It will be clear.
I would argue that most people who actually do this, especially the older, we're not talking about like, middle school and up, or high schoolers, college students, mainly college students who really, really do this, because, younger kids are usually at home, less likely that they'll be mixing with the opposite gender. But college students,
freedom land,
is where things go south, right?
Yeah.
They actually know, most of them, I think, do know this is wrong, but they actually still do it. Why do you think that is, Idrees?
It's the environment. It's very hard to push against the tide, as
mainstream.
They say, it's very easy to go with the flow. Right. So, and that's one of the things about this society is it doesn't have a moral compass.
No.
It's a free for all.
Yeah.
Very subjective.
You have a sister who could be a practicing sister, a good sister. If she wants a job, she goes to apply for a nice job. She probably works with all non-Muslims. She feels uncomfortable. She's wearing a hijab.
Yeah.
She's gonna think, if I want to work here, do I want these people to always look at me, maybe talk about me?
Yeah.
I have two choices now.
Yeah.
I can either take this off.
Yeah.
I can find a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
You get the two choices she has. Like, why can't she be comfortable? It's impossible. You can't be comfortable.
No.
As a Muslim, a true Muslim, it's nearly impossible unless you're in a Muslim environment.
Yeah.
With other Muslims, it's nearly impossible to be comfortable. So you go to a college with 100,000 students of different ethnicities, different religions. You see a man dressed like a woman dressed like a man. You see all these things, and you expect a sister to hold their hijab correctly and to stay by herself. It's very hard, because 99.99% of the people are doing something else.
Yeah.
So you get lost in the wave.
Subhanallah.
So I think that's one of the biggest issues, that it's just the environment is so corrupt that even the good-hearted people, they just, unless you're strong-willed, then you find a different route, and you find, even if you're strong-willed, you can still go down that path. But you have to find routes like, okay, I need to find my people. So it's that environment that's in university, especially, is one of the most powerful environments.
Yeah, very influential. To take it up to the next level, what's even more damaging is that even some du'at have compromised on this gender relations part of the deen. And nowadays, if I want to go to an event, I just check when I walk in, and if it's actually an event that I went to, I walk in and see if there's gender mixing, right?
Yeah.
If there isn't, I'll sit down. If there is, I'll just walk back out, because I know this da'i here has definitely compromised the deen in order to invite more people in. Adnan, what are your thoughts on this? And this is becoming way more common by the day.
Yeah, gender mixing is very prevalent, and it's because it's the one tool that is the most welcoming to youth. Right, and they're like, oh, you don't have to sit in segregate. Like, I can come with my girlfriend, and she can sit right next to me, and we'd be okay. And what that does is now you're catering to a community of confused Muslim youth, who don't even know that this is even wrong, right? But because you're actually, you're giving these services to them, and you're allowing them to do this. In other words, they're like, hey, you know what? Accept me for who I am. Come as you are, and leave as you are. Right? We just want you to be here. And this mentality here is not one that Muslim du'as, those who are calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, should be reinforcing.
Of course.
This should be something that we are kind of, resisting. But, we can debate and argue and discuss about what are the logistics. How do you do that? But I think once you start to compromise these main things, then it just goes downhill. Because it's like, okay, you did that. Why do you have an issue with this? Right. So it's like it's very dangerous, and I think that if we don't put a hold on this right now and preserve our traditional, Islam, and our morals, and then I think all of it goes down in the drain.
Yeah. Maybe a key foundational thing that we forgot to mention is how dangerous is al-ikhtilat, mixing, between genders. And does it lead to more khair or more shar? What are your thoughts on that, Idrees?
On gender mixing?
Yeah.
Well,
why is mixing really like such a harmful practice in society?
Well, I've always wanted, last time we talked about like a research done in a school where it's segregated. Men and women are like all women's school we mentioned, and a school that is just anybody go. That'd be nice to do a research like that in terms of grades and who does academically better. But me being a man, right? Me being somebody who, is attracted to a woman,
naturally.
It would be dumb for me to sit in math class and there's women that I'm attracted to, and it's easy distraction, right? Especially growing up in a place where you sit next to a girl, right? And you guys are talking, right? Your guy friend, he could be like, man, whatever, I'm just gonna do my homework. But a girl, you guys are talking. And now there's those natural feelings from a young age.
Of course.
Right? So that's a huge distraction.
Of course.
Right there. Just in terms of education-wise, that's a huge distraction. Right there. And we wonder why so many public schools are failing.
Of course.
Right? The boys are not graduating. Can we try something else? Can we try something different? It's dumb to keep going in the same path. And we're failing, right? So let's... and I think it was George W. Bush who called for segregation of sexes in schools. Right, but they turned them down. But it would be nice if somebody could actually go out and do research on this. I wouldn't be shocked if segregated schools did a lot better.
Of course.
Because the benefits of it I wouldn't know. And even universities, they say the reason why they're not segregated is because one of the, not the Latin, but the manifest, or the Latin, one of the hidden purposes of the college is for people to actually marry. Right?
Back in the day.
So it's not even like the purpose of college
even education,
but this is the hidden purpose.
They
don't, the actual purpose is for education, but it's like we know it's gonna happen. They're like, we know people are gonna get married, and so they already knew that. Psychologists and sociologists, they all knew that if you put a man and a woman, something will happen.
Of course.
Right. Nabi Adam alayhi salam, Allah created him. What happened? He was bored. He's in paradise, the best place you can be. He got bored. He was lonely. And what did Allah create? Allah didn't create another heaven and another bigger paradise.
No.
Allah created
and not another Adam either.
Not another, right? Allah gave him a woman.
Wow. Yes.
Right.
Amazing.
And so that tells you from the
completed
jump,
him.
Amazing. The entire paradise was not enough for him. Right. He was still lonely until Allah gave him a partner. Right, so now we're trying to reinvent the wheel.
Subhanallah.
So it doesn't make sense.
It's crazy. Uthman, what do you think are some really dangerous effects of mixing? Obviously, there's some really dangerous things.
I think. Can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, ask me a question. I'm asking a lot of hard questions.
Because I think when you look at it, the university ground as a whole, of course you have non-Muslims there, and majority of them are non-Muslim. Now, I'll ask you, in circles where it's like clubs, MSAs.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And there are Muslims, males and female brothers and sisters on campus. What would you say about MSAs there, where they kind of have no choice but to have some sort of gathering with each other and to work together to provide a service to the Muslims on campus.
So a lot of khair could happen here and a lot of shar could happen here. And it all depends on the group of people that come together, right? From all the years and experience of being at college universities, it really comes down to the people that come together. You'll find a leader who will bring the people together, protect all the boundaries of the deen, keep everybody in line, keep everybody in check. Some people will cross the line. So if you have the right leader in place to make sure that you're a Muslim Student Association president, your job is to maintain the deen of the people. Your job is not to corrupt them. But unfortunately, many people are not qualified. Obviously, they're college students. We don't expect them to be, ulama. But nevertheless, a lot could go wrong here. And it does. You'll see MSAs that throw parties, fashion shows, where people are half naked. You get what I'm saying? So it can go really, really south. But also on the other end, some people like, I started practicing when I joined the MSA. I really found the Deen. College makes you or breaks you. So it really comes down to the people. You know what I mean? It's a tough question because it's hard to. There's no one right answer or wrong answer, but it's really, really tough. Yeah. It takes in that same type of ruling as but it leads us to our next topic. When gender relations and boundaries are crossed, one of the biggest things that happens before bigger things happen are sexual assaults. Sexual assaults are huge. And Uthman, let me bounce back on you.
Okay.
What do you think are the main leading causes to sexual assaults? Clearly, some boundaries have been crossed.
Yeah, definitely. I think ignoring those boundaries as a whole, the community, can be harmful.
Yeah.
And when we all decide, like, hey, we're going to turn a blind eye
to these things.
Now we're talking about everybody in the community here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
And we're saying, like, okay, we have laws and we have boundaries. Hududullah.
Yeah.
فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And he said, don't cross the boundaries, don't transgress them. Right? But then that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
When we ignore them, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because then we're allowing, if there's a void, something else is going to take its place.
Of course.
And in this case, it would be a vacuum where any sort of ideology, usually it's the one that's already present, that's dominant in the culture, that will take place. And that's what's going on. I think that brothers and sisters, equally, we have a joint responsibility into maintaining those boundaries. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, al-mu'minuna wal-mu'minat ba'duhum awliya ba'din. Right? He said that the believing men and the believing women are awliya, allies of one another.
Of course.
Right? Not enemies of one another.
No way.
To help each other to establish areas of taqwa where there isn't any. And in this country, and in this non-Muslim environment, we need to work together. So when we ignore those and we just kind of allow people to do something, that's the first thing, first and foremost. Second thing, I think that a lot of us, we see red flags sometimes. Yeah. There will be brothers who see red flags.
And they don't say anything.
They don't say anything. There may be sisters who see red flags of a person getting too close to another sister. And they don't really do anything about that. Yeah. Right? So I think that we need to take action. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I think that we see some issues. And I like the fact that we're now actually talking about this. Yeah. Because now we can formulate some sort of, answers or some possible remedies to help the situation. Right? We all care. As du'at, we care. Right? Because we want there to be an environment where the Muslim thrives. Yeah. We want you to be successful in this dunya. We want you to be successful in the akhirah. We want success in all areas, right? Yeah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees that success. فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Those are the successful ones, right? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Verily they are successful. He has a whole chapter about being successful in the Quran, right? And that pertains to follow the laws and the dictates of Allah and His Messenger. Of course. And I think it's about time that we actually go back to that, because everything else that we have just isn't working.
No. The interesting thing is, though, the interesting thing is, and I'm not comparing these two things, but sexual assault is at the very end of the spectrum. Yeah. It's that thing that's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened.
That's the end.
That's the end. Yeah. Right. But nobody ever talks about
the things that
lead up to it.
Everything before that. Yeah. And the funny thing is, every Muslim would agree the things that led up to it are all wrong.
Of course.
Okay.
But we're not willing to accept that.
Yes.
And give up those things. But we want some way, somehow, for a sexual assault to end. Yeah. I want to know how that's possible. Yeah. Where a man and a woman could be in the same room, possibly hide together. Yeah. But somehow you're telling a high man, make sure you don't sexually assault this girl. Yeah. Right. It's very hard to get a man who is not high. Yeah. Right.
To control himself. To control himself.
All alone, you add drugs. Yeah. And so I want to know Muslims, right? Again, Muslims. Yeah. I want to know what logic they're using. Yeah. In trying to find an answer to this, when all these other things are broken. Yeah. Right. If your engine is messed up, and your tires are flat, and the doors are gone, nobody says, "I'm gonna go get new tires." Yeah. Right. Your engine is busted. Why are you getting new tires?
Yeah.
You know, but
Right?
you know what they say to that? They'll say the solution is to educate your sons.
Yeah.
Right?
Make sure
Educate them
Make
on
sure you
everything,
educate
though.
your son. Yeah. There you go. So
Yeah.
we want to have a comprehensive.
Yeah, but they don't want that. They don't want to
Yeah.
educate the son on everything.
Absolutely. And I think, again, this stems from the beginning of what we were talking about, which is ignorance of the religion.
Yeah.
They don't. They see a lot of Muslims think that the religion, the Deen, belongs in the masajid, or that it hasn't been doing any success to us. Let's resort to social and societal solution and remedies that people, they bring about the istinbat out of subjective, right? So it's like big movements that are happening, right? Yeah. Whether it's by this ism or that ism, and they're like, that's a great thing. We should adopt that.
My argument for this one is, I think many young Muslims have taken the liberal secular argument to gender relations, and they applied it to their life. And they say, no matter what I do, or no matter what he does, or no matter what she does, I expect the best out of the other person, no matter what situation we're in, whether we're high, whether I'm a house party, and I have no responsibility. Okay. And how could you blame the woman? How could you blame the guy? Does anybody say, how could you blame the guy? No. Believe all women, believe all men. Right? I'm screaming too much.
But that's not even the issue, though. The issue is we're trying to help people.
Okay, but the liberal argument says this, okay? Yeah. They facilitate everything to happen. The party, the drugs, the get-togethers. But the only crime is, not everything that made the crime happen impossible.
What happened?
But the crime itself only.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but the partying, the drinking, the get-togethers, the being all alone, the intimacy, the lit up, the dancing, the drugs, the music, none of that is impermissible.
I think what you're saying is very important. Yeah. And what I would ask and request for our viewers is to actually really think about what we're saying. Yeah. Right. Because some people at this point in the conversation will label us. Yeah. Like rape apologists, and you guys are this and that. Oh my goodness. Wallahi billahi. We want the best for our sisters. Yeah. We want the best for our brothers. Right. Of course. Yeah. But we cannot deny when alcohol is introduced in any society, that problems are going to happen in the family. Of course. This wife beating, right? Abuse, domestic assault, all these rape, all these things become prevalent, right? Of course. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions those things. Yeah. He says, stay away from it. Stay away from it. Fajtanibuhu. Yeah. Right? If you wish to be successful, there's a reason for that. Yeah. You see, the beautiful thing about the Quran is it actually has a meaning. Yeah. Right? It actually has laws. It actually has a manual to live your life. Yeah. And if you follow this way from the Creator, you'll be successful. Yeah. Right? But unfortunately, some of us, we look at that as fables and mythology, and it's like, oh, that was so nice. I can sleep now. Yeah. Right? And then we don't really think about implementing it. The reason why the Sahaba were successful, right? And they were a drunkard society, a society that prostitution was rampant. Women were being, dissed. They were being abused. They were being misused. They were being, all these things neglected in any way you can imagine. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a man, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, who introduced to these people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the way he should be. And the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he uses this community, a drunkard community, they used to drink every day and night, right? We agree now that drinking is a disease, right? All medical researchers and experts in the field say so. So what made them give all that up? If it not be for the dictates of Allah and His Messenger and the love for Allah that the Prophet was working on day and night, 10, 20 years with these people, and they became the model of the world after that. Yeah. The Persians didn't see it coming. The Romans didn't see it coming. The Europeans didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming, right? But when they rose, people were surprised. Even say Orientalists have a hard time grasping. It's because the dictates of Allah and His Messenger are divine, and it's for human beings. It works, but we really have to implement it.
For sure. And it's environment doesn't have an impact on you, right? And kind of the liberal secular movement is, I think, one of the most strongest movements that's devastating the ideology of the Muslims.
Absolutely.
Devastating. And we're taking away how we understand the world from them. You know what I mean? So young Muslims are justifying many of these things, and they're saying, what's wrong with it? And they say they make consent as the only condition between a boundary line, right? Which makes something right and wrong, consent. Subhanallah. What are your thoughts on that, Idrees?
Yeah, well, we talked about it throughout the whole podcast, man. You can't ignore, and it's funny because the same people on that side are screaming, you know, men are trash, men are terrible.
Yeah.
Yet they befriend men.
Yeah.
Right, and they trust men.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know the nature of men.
Yeah.
Right. They seem intelligent, but then when you think about it, it's like, how do you not connect these dots?
Yeah.
You're saying what men are. You know what men are capable of.
Yeah.
Yet you're trusting yourself with men.
Yeah. All alone with
right.
them.
And sometimes it's a man you've never met before.
Yeah.
You met him through your phone.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up. Right. So we can talk about, you know, we all know that the best, all of us as men, we can be raised right. At the end of the day, it's my choice to do whatever I want.
Of course.
Right. Nobody can control men. So what we're saying is I have to protect myself. For instance, right, there's a problem with gang violence in a city. I'm avoiding, for instance, you know, I remember as a kid, I lived in a neighborhood where red was not liked. The color red was not liked.
Okay.
That's why you're wearing blue today, man. I got him.
Yeah.
I got him.
The color red.
Oh, that was nice.
You can't wear the color red.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little kid. I knew this. You
Yeah.
know, they told me, yo, don't ever wear this color. I never wore the color red.
Of course not.
Right? Because it represented something. And I didn't want to be a part of that.
Fear of harm. Harm will come from that.
I'm not going to say, I'm going to wear red. I'm going to go to the territory where you guys are, and I demand that you guys respect my red shirt. No,
it doesn't work like
right?
that. Yeah.
We wish it did,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work like that.
You know.
You get bullets in your chest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay? Like if you, you know, everybody else that does a crime,
Yeah.
we say they could have done something to protect themselves.
Of course.
You know, if somebody gets in a car accident, they're going 70 miles per hour
Yeah.
at a 30 and they die. Oh, man, we feel bad for him, but why was he going 70?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So at the end of the day, when bad things happen like this, you have to hold yourself accountable.
Of course.
Right? Sisters, brothers, we have to hold ourselves accountable and tell ourselves the truth. What can I do to protect myself from this? I'm not talking about some liberal movement. I'm not talking about feminism. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about individually. What can I do as a Muslim sister to protect myself from this?
Yeah.
I know if I do this and this and this and I hang out with this and this and this will happen. I'm going to avoid it.
Yeah.
That's good for you.
Yeah.
As a brother, I know if I put myself in these situations, these things will happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna avoid it.
Yeah.
I don't see what's better than that.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to add something because I can see the way people's minds are working today. What you said will be extremely problematic to the way people are thinking because they've already have embraced the liberal ideology in their hearts. And that really is their moral way of thinking.
Yeah.
Like literally, they run on that, right? They live, they breathe on that. So we're not saying that every situation has to do with the woman that has to take accountability or the man that has to take accountability. For sure, there are situations,
of course,
that women are just, you know, she's attacked out of nowhere. We know that, right? There are situations that there are just men that are cussing out there, right? Yeah. There are just men that are trash out there that just abuse and women. So we're not telling those women that they should take responsibility or they should take accountability. That's not what we're saying, right? Yeah. Verily, in those situations, we're saying that the men is incorrect. But at the same time, what will make a man not go down that route if it not be for the morals and the dictates of Allah and His Messenger, right? The guidance that we've been given. Literally, these are things that are to refrain men not only from thinking that way, right, but to even entertaining that way of thought, right? Because if the man is raised right, the young man, they're raised right, and they're raised with tarbiyah of Allah, and we do admit that there hasn't been a good job of that.
Oh, yeah, on both ends.
There hasn't been, right? But what kind of I'm actually flabbergasted at some of the solutions that people put forth. Yeah, it's like, they just don't know what our purpose of life is in our creation. Yeah, right. And this happens with the influence of the dominant ideologies in society. Yeah. But this is why educating yourself on your the way of life that you're supposed to be living on is very important.
Yeah.
Because the solutions are there. You're looking over there and underneath that seat and trying to flip over couches and pillows for it, and it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's on your bookshelf that has cobwebs on it, right? And it's I think it's pretty clear at this point. And some people, they'll go and they'll take our kalam and our aqwal and say these guys are evil, they're this and that and that and that. Come on. Like, all we're asking is for people to use their intellect, right? Yeah. And to agree with us that Allah and His Messenger are the authority here.
Yes.
The way we live our life.
Yeah.
If you agree with that, then ahlan wa sahlan.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't, live your life the way you want to and leave us alone. Honestly. Just leave us alone.
Yeah.
Because we're Muslims and we believe in the hereafter. And we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to account us. Take us to account for the things that we've done.
Yeah.
And we don't have time to deal with, other ideologies. Okay. We understand our purpose of life. And if we don't live our lives according to the way the Creator has given us, then we're finished. What good is our life, honestly?
They asked, I believe it was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud one time, they asked him, what is taqwa? I believe it was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. I could be wrong. But he said taqwa is if there's a path and there's thorn on the path. He said, you pick up your thobe, or what you're wearing, and you walk in that path as consciously as possible. As carefully as possible.
Yeah,
right?
Protect yourself.
Yeah, from thorns and falling.
Yeah.
Right? That's taqwa.
Oh, subhanallah.
Right? So, what I'm talking about, what we're talking about here is not even responsibility or accountability or who's wrong or who's right. That's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about having taqwa as brothers and sisters. Walking through life to protect yourself as much as possible from all harm. Right? Number one being shirk. You protect yourself from shirk.
Yeah.
Right? Number two, then you physically protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right? No sister or brother would walk in the middle of the night in a dangerous neighborhood.
No.
Right?
Basic common sense, yeah.
Basic common sense.
Yeah.
Okay. The same common sense needs to be used in other places.
Of course.
You can't just use common sense in one area and then say, no, there's no common sense needed here.
Yeah.
Right? So, in any situation where there is men and women, okay, it could be a brother that's practicing. We've seen brothers practicing.
Oh, yeah.
Do some damaging things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the sisters, they trust this.
Yes.
Oh, he's practicing. And the brother uses this as, maybe he's not even doing it evilly. He's not an evil person. Maybe it's just because he fell into this.
Yeah. Maybe it was momentarily breakdown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you see that brothers who are practicing or sisters who are practicing fall into this.
Yeah.
So the whole point is, these things happen in life. This is, people need to wake up. This is a real world.
Yeah.
Right? We're not gonna, and then there's, you go into the aspect of teachers in madrasas doing this to their students.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of little girls. Uncles taking advantage of family members.
Yeah.
So it's a huge umbrella.
It's a huge umbrella.
Right? So we're talking about the things that you can control.
Yeah.
Right?
Do your best, Adia.
You do your best.
Yeah.
Right? And inshallah, Allah will protect you. But what can a little girl do to her uncle? Nothing.
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
What can we do? Are we going to arrest all uncles because they're uncles? No, it doesn't make sense.
No.
So we're talking just from what can you as a Muslim sister do to protect yourself. If you come with all of the things to protect yourself, may Allah protect you.
Of course.
Right? May Allah protect all the sisters. Yeah. But if you're just carelessly walking in this world, especially in the society, the same way non-Muslim women are walking around in this society, you're in for nightmares. Right?
It's just the reality,
not only Muslim brothers, not different people are going to take advantage of you. Right? There's human trafficking is a real issue.
Of course.
If you're wandering around and not even just doing whatever you want. And you get kidnapped and all these things happen. We can sit here and talk about problems. But you still got kidnapped and there's still human trafficking. There's girls that right now being, they're held captive and they're going through human trafficking, and we're sitting here. So, what solution can you bring? The liberals, bring us solutions. They're just talking and talking. They're not bringing in the solutions, right?
No.
So what we're saying is, sisters, protect yourselves to the best of your ability. Right? Don't trust any man. Right?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do yourself a justice and protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because you could do that. You could do that.
Yeah.
Better than anybody else.
Of course. Even in the process of something khair. I need some water. Even in the process of something khair. That's why family members, it's mandatory, right, for family members to be involved. Even in the process of khair, right? Even in the process of marriage, two people that are going to be together in marriage. Look at the beauty in the structure and design of the Deen of Allah. Even in marriage between a man and a woman, there must be a third person involved at all times, right? A wali, right? A person who can be there so that the shaitan is in the third person, right? Once the shaitan is the third person, then anything, a righteous brother and a righteous sister could have a break moment, you know what I mean? And they could also be taken advantage of it, and they'll both be compromised, right? Many people, especially the society we live in, they undermine the human value of shahwa and its needs.
Yeah.
They undermine that.
Big time.
They say, so what? No matter what, you should control yourself. That's the expectation, right? The secular mindset is, so what? No matter what situation you're in, you know what? Wear the red shirt, and the other person, no matter what, should protect themselves. Why should they harm you? You know what I mean? When humans, in fact, are not designed that way. Shahwa is a dangerous desire if it's not controlled and not put in the same, you know what I mean, in the proper situation. If you bring a bunch of young brothers and sisters together in the same environment with no supervision, with nothing, and you provide drugs and you provide music, things that kind of, you know, arouse temptations. What do they say? Even all that, nothing should happen.
I think also what's a good advice would also be to our brothers, young brothers are our age, is that, because they're also telling us that, well, the brothers shouldn't have to protect our sisters. No, we should protect our sisters, right? And don't listen to these people that are telling you don't protect your sisters. Just tell the brothers to educate themselves. Wallahi, if it was just education, none of these issues would have been happening. People, this society that we're living in is educated about how harmful drugs and alcohol are, and they're still doing it. In some cases, they're even trying to legalize it. Education, what does that do to some extent? What is it, like, come on.
Without action.
Right? Yeah, without action.
That's a good point, because really, that's a good point, because education is not the end goal.
Yeah, it's not.
Many people, I think most humans are educated. These are basic things. Touching your own knees.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, have you not seen أَفَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي مَنْ يَتَّخِذَ, have you not seen a person who takes his hawa as his ilah?
Yeah.
And then in another ayah of the Quran, he mentions even though we have given this person knowledge, that same ayah.
Of course.
Have you not seen that individual who has taken their hawa, their desires, as ilah, their Lord, even though we have given them knowledge and they've went astray? Have you not seen? So it's not about knowledge. You can be the most knowledgeable person and be misguided.
Of course.
You can be the most knowledgeable person and misguide people. You can be the most knowledgeable person and then use that knowledge to oppress people. So it's not about knowledge.
No.
Right? But we have to be people that are adhering to these guidelines, or else we'll be finished. So our brothers, we advise our brothers to protect our sisters. You see something, do something. I used to say something. Now I'm saying do something about it. Right?
That's the next level.
Well, like this is at the level that we're at right now. Like, we have sisters that are being taken advantage of, and I think partly it is also because that some brothers are complicit in these sort of things. And even in many cases, they may be, succumbing to it. So they allow these things to happen. Just like, well, what can I do, akhi? And then they'll come to you and be like, wallahi, this stuff is, I don't know why sisters are like this. They put on makeup and da-da-da. And they'll complain to you and then you see all their story, they're with girls and dancing and all this stuff. And you're like, what are you, Adi? What type of shaitan are you? Seriously, wallahi, this is crazy. Right? We're expecting us, like, we're qawam like this. This is, so some of the criticisms that I see that sisters make on brothers, you have to accept it.
They're legit. Men are not really men.
You see what I'm saying? But this is where the truth comes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, stand upon the truth. Right? Even if it be against yourselves.
Of course.
So there's a lot of haqq that's against us, right?
Yes.
That we need to actually, take responsibility in it.
Unfortunately.
Yes. So you taking responsibility is a part of the process.
Of course.
Of renewing and reviving what should be revived. And Allah is ala wa alam.
Let's move on to the best practices and solutions for gender problems. Well, how can we what are some tips and strategies we can give to our brothers and sisters on how to best stay safe between gender relations. Idrees, what are your thoughts?
You actually brought up a good point. You said, the liberals and all these people, they vouch for this lifestyle that they say, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But don't.
It's your job to control yourself.
It's your job, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's scary. To put your safety in the hands of somebody
another
else.
person.
That's very scary.
You're relying on someone else
to do the right thing. That's scary.
Yeah.
Right? I hope you don't kill me.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this gun. I'm going to load it. I hope that you're a good person, that you don't kill me.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Such a naive mindset. I don't understand.
That's very
so
sad.
backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, to put your life and your honor and your dignity in the hands of somebody else.
Yeah.
And expect them to be good people.
Yeah.
Only if the world worked like this. Only if everybody was good. Then we would have problems.
Yeah.
Right? So, for the sisters, I would say, trust yourself.
Yeah.
Don't ever put your safety, don't ever put your honor in the hands of somebody else.
No.
No matter where you are.
Yeah.
Not a sheikh, not your uncle, nobody.
Yeah.
You know?
You do what you need to do.
You do what you need to do to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And for the men really need to they need to understand that these things are very important. They try to separate, oh, she's a girl, she's not my sister, she's not my family. But you need to understand these things come fully around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You need to treat yourself. These are your sisters in Islam, right? This is somebody else's sister. This is somebody's daughter. This is someone with honor. So you have to take that and protect her, because you're hoping that another man like yourself protects your sister when you're not around. You get what I'm saying? So this is why if one part of the ummah is hurting, we're all hurting.
Yeah.
Right. So if the brothers are looking out for the sisters and they're protecting the sisters' well-being, and they're honoring their sisters by not passing those boundaries and crossing those boundaries, and they're actually honoring their sisters, this would never happen.
This would never happen.
Right? At least our men wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
And the sisters doing not inviting harm.
Exactly. So this is a job that we both need to. And then there's the case of people that have power over other people that really you can't do anything.
Yeah.
But I'm saying let's eliminate what we can.
Yeah.
Let's control what we can.
Let's do that first. Yeah.
Let's do that first.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? You can't. We live in a world where they want to eliminate all evil.
Yeah.
That's paradise, isn't it? Right? And it's illogical.
Yeah.
It's good to eliminate as much as you can.
Yeah.
But let's eliminate what we can.
Yeah.
Let's control what we can.
Yeah.
Let's talk about issues that we can actually stop.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Then inshallah, Allah will protect the rest from us.
Yeah.
But if we're not even doing what we're supposed to be doing, how do we expect to stop the things that that are not in our control?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Uthman, what are your thoughts on some of the best key practices, strategies that we can find solutions for?
Okay, so I think Idrees mentioned some wonderful, and I think we also did mention a lot of good practices amongst us. You know what? I think one thing we need to highlight here over and over again, because it's something that's always fought, is we really need to adhere to Allah, the Book, and the Sunnah.
For sure.
Right? In our lives. We can't just leave it locked in the masjid where it's COVID and nobody's going to the masjid anymore.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? A lot of the shayateen are roaming, and we know shayateen are not only into some spiritual dimension. Yeah. Shayateen from the men as well.
Of course.
Right? And there's some people who in their heart, fi qalbihim marad.
Of course.
Right? فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. So they have in their hearts disease, and Allah increased that disease.
Yeah.
So you can't rely on that person to keep themselves together. Yeah. Okay? Which means that this is a sense of Allah is telling us, hey, there are people like this that are sick, right? Which means that we need to do the best that we can to protect ourselves from that sickness, right? Yeah. And then the rest Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will aid, inshallah. And then, another thing too is I think when we have these conversations, we really need to be, it needs to be oriented on our religion.
Of course.
Because I see sometimes that a brother was telling me he was at a SSA event, Somali Student Association, and they went there, they were talking about this subject. Okay. And then when they were speaking about the subject, he was going to invoke the religion. He said, well, in Islam, they said, no, without Islam. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what do these people think that we're, like, what are we living on? What do they think the Deen is, right? So if Islam is something that governs our every way life.
The liberal statement these days, let's not bring religion into this.
Exactly. Seriously. This is what it is.
That's the whole podcast.
Right? Yes, it is. So I think we need to be oriented on our foundations. The Quran is
this is the new catchphrase. I just realized. That's the whole podcast.
Hashtag that. You trademark it. And then I think, and last but not least, is we need to really work together as brothers and sisters. Yeah. Right. We can't be playing in the hands of people that are trying to separate us by, you know, our genders and our sexes and our ideology. We should all be having the same ideology. Yeah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the Muslim man and the Muslim woman, they are allies of one another. Yes. Right? We cannot be working against each other. No way. And we need to be working with each other upon the foundation of the Quran and Sunnah. Yeah. And I know to some people this burns. This is burning right now. Why? Because they've already embraced a whole nother way of life. Yeah. Right? That's subjective and it contradicts everything with each other. You know, the first law contradicts with the next law and all this confusion.
And it caters to their hawa.
Exactly. So we're saying leave your desires to the side. Don't be Iblis. Take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your guide, right? Take the messenger of Allah SAW as the best of guides that Allah has mentioned for us, right? And whoever follows him is successful. You want success? This is the way to go. You know, I think we all know the answer at this point, but we're just trying to play philosophical and won't admit that the emperor's naked.
Yeah, for sure. I think that really sums it up. You guys said everything that needs to be said. The only thing I would add is probably, you know, keep great company, people that are
absolutely
al-mar'u ala dini khalilih falyanzur ahadukum man yukhalih. Right? A person is on the deen of their friend.
Absolutely.
If your friends are mixing with the opposite gender, going to parties, doing haram things, that'll have an impact on you. But when you keep good friends that are upon the deen, that remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that have khashya and taqwa and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're conscious of Allah, you know, your habits, that's going to affect your habits and that'll affect the boundaries that you set for yourself in life. Yeah. And so this is a big topic. We didn't really do justice. Inshallah, one day we'll come back to it and really tear it up on a deeper level and really focus on that. But for the time being, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the best of what has been said. Give us your feedback, inshallah. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء